Hello, welcome to Cull the Weak Card Talk. I'm Brobnar89.
I'm Shaka.
Today, we're going to be looking at a card called Infighting. Infighting is a common action. It reads, play. Each creature deals damage equal to its power to its right neighbor. This is definitely an interesting approach to a board wipe, especially in this set. There's all kinds of power manipulation going on with all the power tokens that are flying around the board. This will affect battle line placement. This definitely could be a way to get around taunt. This could be a way for you to trigger your key frog on your own turn. I think it'll be a really fun and interesting board wipe to play around with.
I like how this card looks. I think it's going to be pretty skill testing. It could have some psychological impacts, especially in competitive play, because if this card is looming on your opponent's list, you're using brain power to figure out how to deal with it, in addition to anything else their deck might present as a challenge. If you're spending all your mental energy trying to avoid getting hit with a bad infighting, you might miss some other important things in the deck. And likewise, if you're not thinking about it enough, you could lose a critical creature while your opponent, who's maybe more experienced with this card, can play really carefully. So similar to the vein of Soul Snatcher and Curiosaurus.
Right.
I think in general, when you see this card, you want to play your weaker creatures on the left so that from left to right, the powers are increasing, then your creatures will survive.
Right.
And if your opponent messed up, they could be wiped. And of course, it's harder to make this work out as you go into different houses because you can only play creatures on the left edge or the right edge. And there may be some other cards in this set that let you rearrange the battle line. Mm-hmm. I don't really see them in Untamed.
Mm-hmm. I think the manipulation that you're going to be doing is with the power counters instead to set up a favorable condition for yourself. Your opponent, like you said, is going to have to be thinking very carefully every turn about where they place everything, and you can be a little bit more flexible if you're able to boost particular creatures' powers at specific spots in your battle line.
If your opponent plays around it using the general heuristic that I described, then maybe it's not going to be that impactful. I still think it's going to be pretty challenging to play around perfectly.
Yeah, because when you say put the weaker creatures on the left side, that's simple enough to say, but I think everyone playing Keyforge understands that that's inevitably in the heat of the game gonna get more complicated than it sounds.
Yeah, it's already kind of a pain to play around a groupthink tank. So.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Got another situation like that. Unfortunately, the adverse effect that you want to have on your opponent can be controlled by what your opponent does mostly.
Yeah.
Let's say your opponent has a nasty board, you don't have anything, and you draw Gateway, and you're like, good, this is exactly what I needed. If you draw Infighting, it kind of works in the same way, except you don't get chains, because if you don't have a board, then your creatures aren't blowing up.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, and you could play this, mess up their board, and then drop your Untamed creatures.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Savage Clash, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely see this as less powerful than Savage Clash, but you might end up damaging yourself less than Savage Clash inevitably does.
Yeah, Savage Clash will also clear your board without a doubt.
Right.
This one might not.
It might not, yeah.
So I think this is going to be a really skill testing card. I'm looking forward to having it in my decks.
All right, well, that has been our discussion of Infighting. Check back tomorrow for another look at another card.